Did you know Singapore has some of the strictest laws in the world, while Malaysia is far more relaxed? Or that what you pay for a meal in Singapore could cover your entire day in Malaysia? In this video, we're breaking down the top 10 misconceptions that people get wrong about these two nations, and trust me, what you find out might just change the way you see them forever. Let's dive in. Number 1. Misconception. Malaysia and Singapore are the same country. Although Malaysia and Singapore share a historical connection, they are two distinct nations. Singapore was part of Malaysia for just 2 years, 1963-1965, after which it became a sovereign city-state following a political split. The separation resulted from disagreements over various issues, including political ideology and racial policies. Singapore became independent on August 9, 1965. This split was a significant moment in Southeast Asian history, as it reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the region. Today, Singapore operates as an independent republic with its own government, economy, and international relations, while Malaysia remains a constitutional monarchy with a parliamentary system. Number 2 misconception. Malaysia and Singapore share the same language. While both countries have a shared colonial past and use Malay as a national or official language, the linguistic landscape in each country is quite different. Singapore recognizes 4 official languages: Malay, English, Mandarin, and Tamil. While Malaysia's official language is Malay, Bahasa Malaysia, English is widely spoken in both countries. But regional dialects and cultural linguistic differences create variations. In Singapore, English is the primary language of instruction in schools, and the government encourages bilingualism, often requiring students to learn both English and their ethnic language, Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil. According to Malaysia's 2020 census, over 60% of the population is Malay-speaking, with significant portions speaking English, Chinese dialects, such as Mandarin, Cantonese, and Tamil. Singaporean colloquial English, or Singlish, also differs greatly from the English spoken in Malaysia, with unique slang and syntax that can confuse non-locals. Number 3 misconceptions. Similar cost of living. Many assume that because Malaysia and Singapore are geographically close, their cost of living must be similar. This couldn't be further from the truth. Singapore is known for its high cost of living, consistently ranked among the most expensive cities in the world. Housing, education, healthcare, and even groceries in Singapore are significantly more costly compared to Malaysia. In contrast, Malaysia offers a lower cost of living, especially outside major cities like Kuala Lumpur. Housing, food, and services are much cheaper, making Malaysia a popular destination for expatriates and retirees looking for affordable living. However, wages in Singapore are generally higher, which balances out the high expenses to some degree. According to the Economist Intelligence Unit's 2023 Worldwide Cost of Living Survey, Singapore consistently ranks among the top 10 most expensive cities globally, alongside cities like New York and Zurich. In contrast, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's capital, ranks much lower in cost of living indexes. For example, property prices in Singapore are roughly 3 to 5 times higher than in Malaysia, with the median price for a condominium in Singapore reaching SGD 1.3 million, USD 953,000, compared to a similar property in Malaysia priced at $500,000, USD 108,000. Additionally, daily expenses like public transportation, food, and healthcare are notably more affordable in Malaysia. Number 4 misconceptions. Travel between the two countries is as easy as traveling within one. Despite their proximity and shared land borders, traveling between Malaysia and Singapore isn't as simple as moving between cities within the same country. Some people think that the close distance means you can cross the border without any formalities. But in reality, there are strict immigration controls in place. Both Malaysia and Singapore have distinct visa regulations, customs checks, and border security. For instance, Malaysian and Singaporean citizens can travel relatively easily between the two countries, but they must still go through customs and immigration checks. Foreign nationals face stricter entry requirements and may need visas depending on their country of origin. Traveling between the two countries requires careful planning, especially for long-term stays. For instance, many Singaporean workers who live in Johor Bahru, Malaysia, must cross the border daily for work, facing long queues at customs. Number 5 misconceptions. Malaysia and Singapore share the same culture. Due to their shared historical roots and geographical proximity, many people assume that Malaysia and Singapore share an identical cultural landscape. While both countries have overlapping influences, particularly from Malay, Chinese, and Indian communities, their cultural identities have evolved differently since their separation. Malaysia's culture is more rural in many parts, with a greater emphasis on traditional customs and practices. The country is also home to a significant indigenous population, each with its own unique traditions. Singapore, on the other hand, is more cosmopolitan, with a fast-paced urban lifestyle that blends various global and regional influences. Singapore's population has embraced a more international culture, particularly due to its role as a global financial and expatriate hub. The cultural experience you have in Kuala Lumpur is very different from what you would encounter in Singapore, despite the common heritage. In Singapore, the majority Chinese population, about 76%, and the strong influence of global commerce and expat communities give the city a more international, fast-paced atmosphere. Malaysia, meanwhile, has a more varied demographic makeup, with about 60% Malay, 23% Chinese, 7% Indian and indigenous populations in states like Sabah and Sarawak. This cultural blend results in different festivals, customs, and day-to-day practices between the two nations. Number 6, misconception: the education systems are the same. Another common assumption is that the educational systems in Malaysia and Singapore are alike, given their shared British colonial history. However, the two systems have diverged significantly. Singapore's education system is often ranked among the top in the world, known for its rigorous curriculum and a strong emphasis on mathematics and science. It is also English medium, meaning most subjects are taught in English. In Malaysia, the education system is more diverse, with schools offering instruction in Malay, Chinese, and Tamil. Although English is a compulsory subject, it is not the primary medium of instruction in most schools. Moreover, Malaysia's education system has faced more challenges, such as urban-rural disparities and access to resources. Singapore frequently ranks at the top of global educational indices like the Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, and its students perform exceptionally well in math and science. Malaysia's education system emphasizes moral and religious education alongside academic subjects. However, it has faced criticism for being less competitive globally in science and technology fields. Despite ongoing reforms aimed at improving STEM education, Number 7, misconceptions: legal systems are the same. Given their shared history as British colonies, some people assume that the laws and regulations in Malaysia and Singapore are still similar. In reality, Singapore is known for its strict legal system, particularly regarding public behavior, drug laws, and cleanliness. Singapore's legal framework is famous for its severe punishments for offenses like littering, drug trafficking, and vandalism. Malaysia, while also maintaining a strong legal system, is generally seen as more lenient on public behavior and certain crimes. For example, Singapore's enforcement of fines for offenses such as chewing gum or jaywalking contrasts sharply with Malaysia's more relaxed public behavior rules. Singapore's legal code is among the strictest in the world. Acts like chewing gum in public places and littering can lead to fines, while drug trafficking carries a mandatory death penalty. In Malaysia, while laws regarding drugs and serious crimes are strict, everyday public behavior like chewing gum or littering is not penalized as harshly. The enforcement of Islamic laws also varies, with some Malaysian states enforcing stricter Sharia laws, which do not apply in Singapore. Number 8, misconception: Malaysia is a less developed version of Singapore. While Singapore is often viewed as a highly developed first-world country, it would be inaccurate to describe Malaysia as a less developed counterpart. Malaysia has a dynamic economy, modern cities like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and Johor Bahru, and a rapidly developing infrastructure. Its economy is more resource-based, while Singapore's is finance and technology-driven. Malaysia's GDP per capita in 2023 was USD 12,000, a growing middle-income economy, while Singapore's GDP per capita is much higher at USD 82,000. However, Malaysia has the advantage of a larger land area, more natural resources, and a diverse industrial base, including oil and gas, electronics, and palm oil. Major Malaysian cities like Kuala Lumpur and Johor Bahru feature skyscrapers, modern highways, and advanced public transportation, challenging the perception that Malaysia lags far behind Singapore. In development number 9, misconceptions, food is the same in both countries. Another misconception is that Malaysian and Singaporean food is identical, given their shared roots in Malay, Chinese, and Indian culinary traditions. However, while you'll find dishes like laksa, nasi lemak, and roti canai in both countries, the recipes, ingredients, and preparation methods often differ, reflecting each country's unique palate. One famous example is Hainanese chicken rice. In Singapore, it's served with fragrant rice and chili garlic sauce, while Malaysia's version, particularly in Malacca, has a distinctive twist, where the rice is rolled into small balls. Malaysia's Penang laksa uses tamarind for a tangy broth, while Singapore's laksa features a coconut milk-based soup, reflecting the different preferences and cultural influences in each country. Food in both countries is similar but distinct, with local twists that make each country's cuisine special in its own right. Foodies will notice these subtle differences, and it's worth trying the same dish in both places to compare. Number 10 misconception: all Malaysians want to move to Singapore. It's true that Singapore offers high-paying jobs and a more affluent lifestyle for some Malaysians, but not all aspire to move there. Many Malaysians enjoy a lower cost of living, more space, and the community lifestyle in Malaysia, which offers a contrast to Singapore's urban hustle and high-density living. 2023 report by the Singapore Economic Development Board noted that around 1 million Malaysians commute or live in Singapore. However, Malaysia's economy is growing, particularly in sectors like digital services, tourism, and real estate, offering competitive opportunities for those who prefer to stay in Malaysia. Many Malaysians prioritize family ties, cultural familiarity, and a more relaxed lifestyle over the fast-paced environment of Singapore.